You know, totally.
And Lennon was a genius, but he was very different.
He wrote some good tunes as well.
He did. He was great, you know.
But McCartney had the greatest tunes. But I think this about Bowie, because I think that Bowie is slightly misunderstood from that point of view, in that obviously Bowie did amazing stuff with the characterizations and the shape-shifting and the clothes and all that stuff, but all of that would be meaningless without the tunes.
Well, the day that he died, and it's on, and you're listening to the radio all day, nobody mentioned the songs.
Yeah.
It was all about this, the fashion and this,
and he
that,
changed
and
character,
and he did this,
and he pushed art, and
I'm thinking, well, that's all great, and I went to see the exhibition, and that's all great, and like, it's the shoes and all that kind of thing. But really, at the end of the day, if it's not for Starman,
exactly.
Come on.
There's an American act who you might have heard of called Jabriath. Have you heard of him? Now, Jabrath is Bowie without the tunes.
Right.
And so, therefore, he did one album and then I think he killed himself. That may be nothing to do with it. But basically, he's not a big, important figure.
Morrissey made me sit through a Jabriath album one night.
Really? Morrissey would like Jabriath, I think, because he's sort of like...
I'd never heard of him. He was grossly offended that I'd never heard of him.
Yeah, Morrissey had the tunes.
Yeah, no, Morrissey has had the tunes. And actually, Morrissey...
I love that the fusion, him and Ma. Like, even something like, you know, Song About a Moor's Murder. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
You know, it's amazing. It's incredible.
I also think Morrissey, something not said about him, because I think what happens is, with him or Bowie or whatever, because their personalities become the thing,
huge,
people don't talk about the music. But one thing about Morrissey is he's a great singer, I think. Like, he's a brilliant vocal. No one else sings like Morrissey. Yeah, and the minute you hear it, you think, oh, that's a Morrissey song. And the timbre of his voice is really brilliant.
But the problem is, again, you know, we were talking about, you know, being a convicted paedophile.
He's not a convicted paedophile.
No, ruins your music a little bit.
I know there's a sense in which, you know, you think that might happen. No, he definitely isn't.
No, what we were saying earlier about, like, trying to separate, you know, a great work of art from the fact that the artist became, you know, a big hated figure. Even on a smaller degree, the fact that these icons are on Twitter ruin it. If Donald Trump tweets, makes a fool of himself. Yeah. But I think, and he is, you know, incredibly
stupid.
It's off the charts, right?
Yeah, unbelievably.
But even
stupid.
people, icons through history, if they were on Twitter, they'd be ruined within 6 months.
That's true.
They'd say something that would be taken wrong.
Yeah.
You know, Marilyn Monroe would be she'd be like a Kardashian. Yeah. You know, and it's just anything outside the music. So what Bowie did is sort of kept it dry in a way. He did all those things, but it was all about creation. He didn't go shouting his mouth off about things that he didn't know about.
Because I'm a Bowie obsessive, there is it's like a chat room or something like that he used to go on in the early 2000s.
Oh, secretly, wasn't it?
Yeah. But people have worked out it was definitely him.
How would you work out it was him?
Well, because he called himself something which I now can't remember, but it might as well be the Thin White Duke. Right. And
I'm the short fat duck.
It's a Bowie chat. It's a Bowie chat room, and he's on it from time to time. I think a bit pissed. Right. I think at that point in the early 2000s, when he wasn't doing very much, he was just hanging out in New York looking after his kid, and at night getting a bit drunk, and he'd have rows with people
about himself,
mainly about himself. So at one point, there's one bloke who works out that it's Bowie, or decides it is Bowie, and it is actually him, and said, "Oh, I was once on a bench. I was once on a bench in London. And you were sitting on that bench, and I said hello, and you didn't say hello to me." And Bowie just lays into him and starts saying, "Yeah, any minute now you'll be saying I wasn't interested in talking to you because it was when I was shit in the 80s." And I think this is amazing. This is Bowie losing everything you're talking about. Luckily, not on Twitter, so no.
But he did it. He did it. He was very aware of his legacy and what people thought of Tin Machine, and he played with it because he was very aware of himself and where he stood in the world. He was plugged into everything.
You were friends with him though.
He was yeah. Ricky was a mate of his.
And he was just like, and I had to remember that this mate of mine was David Bowie, because he wasn't David Bowie. He was David Jones. He was a normal bloke from London who got good at something.